Right, very good afternoon. So now I'm starting my recording button. So I want to share my screen with you. So that is our topic. This course module is called POL212 within brackets 3. Uh, it's called Peace and Conflict Theoretical Aspect, right? So Arun Jayapika sir and myself are the course lecturers for this course. I think you all are aware about that, right? Under this course, there are many theoretical part as well as practical components. So I will take the big theoretical parts, and the Arun sir will take the practical components or practical parts. So, but however, though they are theoretical, I would prefer to explain them in very using very simple language, demonstrations, illustrations, and also very basic pictures, cartoons. Because we are talking about concepts and theories, so sometimes uh, you may not aware about that previously. I mean, when you are studying in your school time or when you are studying in your university time as PhD students, you may not aware about these concepts and theories because they are very much particularly specific in the subject of peace and conflict. So that's why I will try to explain all these things very simply and basically, right, using basic pictures and other things. Can you hear me and can you understand me? What I'm
Yes, sir.
saying? Okay. So today we are going to talk about positive peace and negative peace. It is quite famous concepts in peace and conflict studies. Right? Positive peace and negative peace. Almost we know about the term peace because people, those who are in eastern part of the world, so the term peace is not news for us because very long time we have long tradition of religion, culture, and belief systems. For example, Buddhism, then the Hinduism, they are very much focusing on ahimsa or non-violence, as well as the Jaina religion, Jaina people. They also talking about teaching about the concept of ahimsa. Then after Islam, the term of the actually literary meaning of the term Islam is peace, right? All these religions or religious perspectives, they focus on peace. Therefore, the people, those who are in eastern part of the world, peace is not the newest concept or newest term for us. But inside the term peace, there are many varieties. Maybe there are different types of uh, compounds are there. The main variety is positive peace and negative peace, right? These terms were firstly coined by the Norwegian well-known peace scholar. His name is Johan Galtung. This is a picture of Johan Galtung. He is considered as a father of modern peace studies. Father of the modern peace studies, Johan Galtung. Uh, he dedicated a lot on studying and doing research on peace and conflict studies. He wrote many books, articles, um, and presented many public talks, scholarly talks, right? So in 1996, Professor Johan Galtung wrote a book under the name of Piece by Piece School means. Firstly, he published this idea as a research paper, then he developed this idea up to book level. Name of the book is Piece by Piece School means Peace and Conflict, Development and Civilization. It was published in 1996. In this book, uh, Professor Johan Galtung, he started to talk about positive peace and negative peace. That's why the very first stage of our discussion, I have said that firstly these two terms were coined by the Norwegian well-known and well-established scholar Professor Johan Galtung, right? Now we are going to talk about when we are going to now we are going to explain a bit about what is positive peace and negative peace. Before talking about positive peace, I would like to talk about negative peace. So, actually, according to the words of Johan Galtung, negative peace is repelled, uh, the social context, which is absence of violence. The absence social context, which is the absence of violence, is called as negative peace. Absence of violence. If you want to identify negative peace, or if you want to identify society whether there's a positive peace or negative peace, we can we have to elaborate. We have to investigate whether it is whether there are violence or not. If there is no violence, then we can identify clearly it as negative peace, right? There no more violent conflict there, no damage to personal or public property, no individual loss due to violence conflict, no visible violence against humanity, so no visible warfare against others. So these kind of characteristics can be seen in such a society, right? Then we can identify that society as a society which is which is comprised of negative peace. Is it clear? Any questions?
No, sir.
There is a society if there's no visible violence, then we can identify that society as a society with negative peace. Is it clear? No individual harm, no individual damage, no individual or public property damage. All right. No warfare with, against with each other. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. But it is something like this. Can you identify what are these switches? The fire under the ashes, right? Negative peace is something like this. In single, it's called Adulagiri, right? Fire under the ashes. At a glance, when we see it, we can see very calm and quiet surface which is covered by ashes, right? When we see it first, we feel that there's no harmful thing on that place, right? But when we go to very closer and when we see it very clearly, or if we try to do something with them, or if we used to have a stick or something to handle them, or if we use the air to remove the ashes, then quickly we can see the fire inside the fire under the ashes. Negative peace is something like this. Definitely, there is no more warfare against each other, no violence conflict, no individual or personal damage, no individual or public property damage, right? No violence, no physical pain. But negative peace is something like the situation which is fire under the ashes, right? If I think about the practical examples, under ceasefire agreement or in the context of ceasefire, we can see negative peace. We can see negative peace, right? So then, if I take examples from the international politics, I think now you are studying international relations and code number POL211. Am I right? International relations. Are you
Sorry,
studying?
sir.
Are you studying international relations now? What is the subject under the code number 211?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, that's sure, right? Yeah, nowadays you are studying international relations or international politics, international relations, no? International relations under the code number 211. Am I right? Yes. So in that subject, you will study about relationships between USSR and USA, relationship between China and USA, relationship between India and Pakistan. But as a general people, we all know about these things, right? In this case, there's a huge tension between China and USSR, as we all know, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it is called the trade war between China and USA. But there is no war against each other, right? But there's a tension between these two countries. It's like uh, the fire under the ashes, right? Another example is relationship between USA and the USSR at the time of Cold War. Have you heard about this word, Cold War?
Yes.
Have you heard about? No? Oh yes.
No.
Really?
The
Sure?
meaning of I know.
Sorry?
The meaning of that word I know, sir.
Okay, but you must know about the history about about the political world, right? In from 1949 to 1989, 1949 to 1989. Why I am saying 1949? That was the year USA found or created the atomic bomb, 1949. So actually after the Second World War, the world was divided into two groups on the basis of our political ideologies. The countries who follow liberalism under the leadership of USA, they formed one group or one bloc, and also later on they formed a international organization. It's called NATO. Then the other side, USSR and other Soviet and communist countries or their supporters, they aligned together and they formed another organization. It is called Warsaw Pact, right? However, the majority of the countries in the world were divided into two groups: USA-led capitalist bloc or USA-led liberal bloc. Then the other part, USSR-led Soviet bloc, right? Then after these two groups, on the basis of their ideologies, liberalism versus socialism, or liberalism versus actually not the socialism, communism, right? Liberalism versus communism. These two blocks, these two groups of countries in the world, they started to fight with each other, but not using weapons and huge machineries like anti-ballistic missiles and other things. But they fought with each other, each and every ground. When they came to Olympic, then we can see we can see the battle between these two blocks. They were fighting with each other to achieve the what's called a lot of medals. When they're going to excavation somewhere else, again they were fighting with each other. When they're going to what's called create new thing, so then again we can see the fighting between these two countries or two blocks, right? So that is called Cold War, the war, but it's cool, right? In Sinhala it's called Tushni Yuddhaya. I think there's no Tamil or Muslim students in here, right? So that's why I use the word Sinhala. So then, under that context, the context of Cold War, we can see negative peace in the world. That's why non-alignment countries, they emerged, they raised their hands, and they formed their organization. It's called non-alignment movement. Then they said that we are independent, we cannot be aligned with one of you because we are the smallest countries and we are the independent countries. We want to have our own path. We cannot combine with your alliances. So that's how world political history was going on, right? So that scenario, that situation is called Cold War. So then the contemporary trade war between China and USA, you know about that, you are aware about that, right? So they are sharing marks with each other, then they are changing their trade policies. Sometimes they ban the what's called USA ban the Chinese good and services, right? Then the China also did the same thing. So there are many things going on. That situation, because there's no fighting with each other using weapons, there's no violence, right? But at a glance, when we see there's no violence, we cannot see that. We cannot say that. That's a what? That's peace. There's a peace, but it's negative.
Negative.
So then another one is the relationship between India and Pakistan, right? There's no fighting. Earlier in our past, we have seen many fightings between India and China on the base of Kashmir issue, but nowadays there's no visible fighting, but tension is going on. I have selected some photos or cartoons to elaborate these stories very simply, right? Example for negative peace: the relationship between USA and USSR at the time of Cold War contest. When we see them, we can identify they are very pretty, like butterflies, right? But what they are doing, they are collecting honey from each and every corner of the world, right? That honey means they are collecting, they are grasping, they are actually they are exploiting resources of the all over the world. Right? Meanwhile, they are fighting with each other. So that's negative piece. Then the contemporary China-USA relationships, they are running a race. They want to what's called pass the the another other one, right? But you can see uh, right hand leg of the China and left hand leg of the America. Uh, they are tied by the rope. It means that after 1978, under the economic liberalization policies which were introduced by the uh, then President Deng Xiaoping, the Chinese leader, after the Chairman Mao Zedong, he came into power in China. Uh, President Deng Xiaoping introduced new economic liberalization policies to the People's Republic of China. Under those policies, China opened up its economy for the foreign countries, and also they made an open call for foreign uh, companies and invest in organizations, institutions. Please come and invest China. Then the all other the companies all over the world they went there and they started their business or their uh, they formed their institutions over there in China land. Among them, majority of them belong to USA. It means that many USA companies went there into China and they started their business, their companies on the Chinese land. Then China supported to the American companies at that time, right? Therefore, there's a very close relationship, close ties, trade ties between USA and China. If they cannot move defeating their friends, right? And it means China cannot go beyond defeating USA. USA cannot go beyond defeating China because their trade ties are that much of strong. But however, now the present contest they want to lead defeating other. So that's the uh, growing up situation between these two countries. So it is called, many scholars use the word trade war. We can see the peace, but peaceful situation because these two countries are not using weapons. They are not using atomic bombs. They are not ready to use them. Then they are not using anti-ballistic missiles, but they are fighting with each other in very cool manner. So that's why we can we can identify that situation as the negative piece, right? The relationship between India and Pakistan on the base of Kashmir issue. Because of that, the tension is goes up sometimes, right? You can see China, Indian person and the Pakistan person, they are fighting with each other on the base of Kashmir issue. But because of this situation, the, the damage brings us to both the countries. Right? I think now you can understand the situation about negative peace. So what about Sri Lanka? Why we are not talking about Sri Lanka, no? So I don't know you are aware about the ceasefire time in Sri Lanka, ceasefire context in Sri Lanka. Have heard about the 30 years war in Sri Lanka between the Sri Lankan government and the LTT? Do you know about that?
No idea.
Oh, what? No idea. 30 years war between the Sri Lankan government and the LTT?
I know.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's called 30 years war, right? 30 years civil war in Sri Lanka. So, however, in 2002, because 2001, new government came into exist. Actually, at that time, presidency was held by the President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumartilla Madam. Then the premiership was held by the Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe. Then there's a government. It's called a coexistence government because president was there from the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, actually Sri Lanka People's Alliance. Then the premiership and the cabinet they formed from the United National Party, right? At that time, the Sri Lankan government agreed to sign a ceasefire agreement between LTT and the Sri Lankan government. It was initiated by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. So at that time, actually, with the help of Norway and Norwegian peace envoy Erik Solheim, the Sri Lankan government and the LTT signed a peace agreement. Actually, it is called, it is well known under the name of peace agreement. Actually, it is a ceasefire agreement between two parties, government forces and the LTT, right? Ceasefire agreement. Ceasefire agreement means they agreed to cease fire. They agreed to stop fire. It was signed in 2002, right? So after signing the ceasefire, so the people from the south they can visit the north and they can visit the LTT area and the activities they can see. They allowed the people, those who are coming from the southern, to see the area they are controlling. Right? However, after signing the ceasefire agreement, the LTT used pistol gunmen to shot civilian, civil officers. Actually, it means the military officers, but they were in unarmed. They were not hanging arm. The LTT pistol gunmen reached them and shot them. Can you understand what I mean?
Yes, sir.
There are some military persons, officers in the camp, right, or police, but sometimes they have to go out from their police station, or they have to go out from their military camp or army camp. They have to go to their village or their home. While they're going to their village or home, or when they're going out for their personal matters from their police station or military camp, they're not hanging weapons, right? They're not wearing uniforms. At that time, they are civilians, because though they are civil military persons, at that time they are not hanging weapons. But what the LTT pistol gunmen did, they closely observed those activities of the particular persons. Then they secretly reached them and shot them using their pistol. Those activities were done at the time of ceasefire, which is called peace, so-called peace time in Sri Lanka, right? So that is the situation we can identify as a negative peace, right? There was a peace, but we can identify that particular context as a negative peace. The tension goes up rapidly because of these activities, right? So I think now you can understand what is negative peace. This is very broader concept which was coined by the Professor Johan Galtung, but I am trying to explain these concepts very simply, right? Because you are beginners of the peace and political science course. Then the time for talking about positive peace, right? Uh, Positive peace is opposite side of the negative peace, right? So what is it actually? Then positive peace is filled with positive content. It is always positive, durable, sustainable, stable, right? There are many names we can replace the word positive. Sustainable, durable, then the stable peace, right? There are many positive contents are there, but to achieve positive peace, it requires certain things. What are they? Well-formulated, constructive approach of conflict resolution. Well-formulated, constructive approach of conflict resolution. Conflict resolution in conflict and peace studies, there are certain concepts and theories. There are certain terminologies, right? We are talking about one of them, two of them, negative peace and positive peace. Conflict resolution is another one. There are certain terms, terminologies, conflict management, conflict resolution, right? To resolve the conflict peacefully, calmly, you want to resolve the conflict. But to resolve the conflict in conflict and peace studies discipline, there are suggested, well elaborated, well established mechanisms and approaches. It means there are well established, well formulated methods to have positive peace, to achieve positive peace and to resolve the conflict, right? Step by step, we will discuss these things. Then at the end of this course, you can have knowledge about what are the well formulated, well established mechanisms of or process of conflict resolutions. One of them is conflict transformation. Conflict transformation is the first, best, not the first, best method for conflict resolution, right? We will discuss these things in later on. In here, we want to know about to achieve positive peace. We want to apply well formulated constructive approach of conflict resolution, because conflict at the time of conflicted situation, what we can have, what we can see at the time of conflicted situation. In our society, we are having relationships, right? We have relationships, right? Some are very strong, some are very uh, cool, some are very what's called courteous, right? Uh, some are very respected relationships. For example, relationship between the Buddhist monk or the temple and the house, it is very honored relationship, right? The relationship between house and the temple, the house, the student and the principal, right? Student and the teacher. That is very respectable relationship. Sometimes we have relationship between the children and the mother. That's very earthiest one, right? It is natural, inborn relationship. So sometimes we have official relationships. For example, when we are riding a bicycle on the road, so there's a traffic policeman, right? Traffic policeman. So then he may stop us. So then we have a relationship between that particular policeman. But that is not earthiest one. That is not honored one. That is not a strong one. But that's an official relationship. Right? Official. Can you understand? So when we are living with our society, we have that type of relationships, lot of relationships. But when we experienced conflicted situation, what will be happen to those relationships, right? Definitely, they might be weakened or broken. Relationships, sometimes they have been weakened or sometimes broken. Can you understand? For example, in our 30 years war, we have broken relationship between the people, those who are in conflicted areas, right? So at the time of ceasefire agreement, there was a what's called a checkpoint in Omante, right? Within 1 kilometer, there was LTT checkpoint and the army checkpoint in other side, right? So then, beyond this checkpoint or Mante, we cannot see clearly, we cannot hear clearly the voices or experience of the other people, those who are in other part of the Omante. They also cannot hear, they also cannot see well the people, those who are in this place, in this part of the Omante. Right? The relationship were broken down. Right? For example, if I take the example of simple one, for example, let's assume you may have a relationship, you may have a conflict with your friend, right? One of your friends. So earlier, he or she is are very good, right? Very close to you. Because of that, you shared everything with that particular person, with your friend, right? Your personal experience, your interest, your choices, whatever the colors you like, whatever the flowers you like, whatever the shoes you like, whatever the clothes you like, right? You shared everything with your friend or friends because they are very close friends. But for the time being, because of one or two reasons or one or few reasons, the relationship will be broken, right? So then, what else? You want to build up that relationship again. That particular person, your friend is also he or she wants to build up, recreate the friendship, right? Then what the first thing we have to do? We have to construct broken relationship. Without doing that, we cannot go beyond, right? So likewise, when we are applying this concept into societal level, if there are broken relationships, so if you want to achieve uh, positive peace through the very formulated, constructive conflict resolution method, we have to recreate, restore the weak or broken relationships. That's the first thing we have to do, right? So then, creation of new social systems. That's another one. Creation of new social systems, right? We have to create new things. For example, the example I have mentioned, the conflict between you and your friend. Then two of you wants to start by doing anything, by doing new thing, new innovative thing, right? For example, you may buy some kind of gift for the friend, right? Maybe clothes, maybe souvenir, right? He might like, or she might like a souvenir. You may buy. So then, after having that, you may invite your friend. So I brought this type of gift for you. It is very beautiful. It is in this color. It is like this, right? If you come and if you you are a ring, or if you call for me, then I will give it to you, right? Likewise, when we are talking about the big conflict or which are related with all society, we have to do new things. We have to create new context, new systems, right? For example, regarding our conflict, right? 30 years war. There are many grievances from their side. One thing is the people or officers of the government, while working the Tamil speaking area, they don't know Tamil. They like to use singular for official purpose. That's a particular and prominent grievances which is coming from their side. People those who are in Tamil speaking areas, right? So then what we can do as a government and also as a society, if we want to have positive peace, if we have real intention to achieve positive peace, what we can do now? We have to train government officers to speak Tamil. We have to train government officers to read Tamil. We have to train government officers to write Tamil well. Then we have to send them. That's one option. Other thing is that we have to recruit Tamil people and appoint the particular areas. Other thing is that most innovative and good one is we have to introduce uh, trilingual language policy all over India. Trilingual language policy, Sinhala, Tamil, and English. Whoever the people, whoever the citizen in this beautiful country must learn these three languages, whether they are Tamil, whether they are English, whether they are Sinhala, whether they are Muslim, they have to learn, they must learn three language, Sinhala, Tamil, and English. Then they are whether they are working in Galamata Hambandato, Kalambu Kote, or they are working in Kurvagalampar, or they are working in Matukilachi Kalmune. So there's no problem because they know three language very well, they can apply it. So to have positive peace, sustainable peace, stable peace, right? We want to initiate, we want to introduce such type of new social systems, right? Without doing those things, I mean, I mentioned only one thing, right? One innovative thing. So without doing these things, we cannot have positive peace. We have peace, it's negative peace. But if we want to have positive peace, if we have real intention to achieve positive peace and establish it in this very beautiful country, as a society, we have to implement these new social systems, such as if you want to I mean, build up a relationship with your friend, you have to you have to do new things to restore your relationship. Right? The other thing is protect the needs of whole population. Protect the needs of the whole population. Whole population. Right? Sometimes many conflicted, I mean, the people or organization, civil society, NGO, sometimes think tanks, those who are working with these conflicted societies and conflicted parties, they think that they just focus on only conflicted parties, right? But I want to say there are many organizations, institutions, scholars, think tanks. They are working on these particular issues. They work to address these particular issues, right? But they focus on the needs of conflicted parties. Then most of the time they're not focusing on the interest of others who are surrounding these conflicted parties. For example, that's true. We had in Sri Lanka, we had 30 years protracted war, right? Therefore, many think tanks, research organizations, researchers, peacemakers, peace builders, analyzers, they just focus on their work towards Sinhala and Tamil community to eradicate grievances which were grounded on this conflict. But we know that when we are talking about Sri Lankan society, there are many others than the Sinhala and Tamil, right? For example, Muslim people are there. So then Veda people are there, indigenous people in Sri Lanka. Then the other groups, for example, so-called low-caste people, right? I don't like to use that word, but there are marginalized groups, right? For example, Modi and so on, right? So if you want to have sustainable and stable peace process, we want to focus on each and every aspect of the whole population, not just be not just focusing on uh, small issue of one or two communities. We have to address all these issues. We have to look at direct and indirect influences of a peace process or conflict. Right? But in our history, in Sri Lankan case, we couldn't see that approach. They focused on the issues of grievances which were pointed out by the Tamil community, but the others' uh, identities, others' needs, others' requirements, they were not addressed or they were not focused by the peace process of Sri Lanka. That's the main big point of Sri Lankan peace process, right? If you want to achieve positive peace, we have to address all these issues, right? Let's assume that you and your there's a quarrel between you and your sister, right? Sister is saying that she wants to something. So then your father and mother or your parents, they want to settle this quarrel peacefully and they want to have a stable peace in your home. Then what they want to do, if they accept the demand which are coming from your sister's side, then what would be happen to you? You will be unhappy, right? So that if they want to achieve positive peace in your home, then they have to address, they have to focus needs and requirements of you and your sister. But if there's another one, your brother or there's another sister in your home, but she may not involve in your conflict, right? To settle this problem, your parents may buy a flock for your sister and you. But there's another sister, but she may not involve in that conflict. She's just observe your conflict, right? Your current. So then, what will be happen to her? To achieve sustainable and positive peace, your parents have to buy 3 flocks for 3 daughters, right? Likewise, the positive peace, if you want to achieve positive peace, we have to think all these things very deeply and positively. We have to, as a society, we have to learn to respect dignity and identity of the others. Otherwise, we cannot have peace or positive peace. I think you can have a big idea about this, right?
Yes,
Then,
sir.
I mean, under the concept of positive peace, under the situation of positive peace, we can not see physical and structural violence. That's another terminology which was coined by the Johan Galtung, structural violence. Violence which is embedded or which is imposed by the system. It's called structural violence. Structural violence. Right? how we can explain structural violence. Violence is there, but it's embedded with particular structures. So that's called structural violence. For example, if you think about again our particular context, so then the people, the officers, they cannot use the customer's language. Then again, it becomes a structural violence, right? So then another thing is peaceful coexistence is restored. Peaceful coexistence is needed. So without having this type of coexistence exist peacefully, amicably, and friendly, right? That's the meaning of coexistence. Living with peacefully, amicably, with our neighbors, with our friends, with our communities, right? We can see this type of situation under the positive peace context. Amicable relationships are built up between conflicted parties. Earlier, there were conflicted parties, but then as the result of well-established, well-effective conflict resolution method, the application of well-established, well-formulated conflict resolution method, we can have amicable relationships between conflicted parties. If you have time, please look at the South African conflict. Then after 1996, Nelson Mandela came into power. He was imprisoned almost 27 years, right? Due to apartheid policies. He was imprisoned. He was sent into jail for 27 years almost. But after he got his releasement from the jail, he came into society and entered into the politics, entered into the open politics. So then, in 1996, Nelson Mandela was elected by the people as the president of South Africa. Then after, what he did, he called upon all the conflicted parties. Actually, there was a conflict between the white supremacy, white people, and the black indigenous people, right? There's a conflict between these two, African National Congress and the other white people. Though it is a people of the black, it is the country of the black people, it was governed by the white people until 1996. So, but after came into power, Nelson Mandela, he said that we have to forget about what we have done in our past. So he established a mechanism to build up relationship between conflicted parties, conflicted white men and black men. So then, in this present context, South Africa is very peaceful and is very prestigious country because of Nelson Mandela's policy and his dedication towards the peace, especially positive peace. So then, if you follow those steps and try to achieve positive peace, then finally we can have peace culture. It was another term which was coined by the John Galton, right? Peace culture and culture of peace. Actually, in here, I'm referring peace culture, peaceful culture, right? So if you want to have actual intention to achieve peace, we have to follow these steps. We have to think deeply. We have to create new social systems. We have to think innovatively. We have to elaborate new social and public policies without having those things. I think we cannot. It is very difficult to achieve positive peace, right? I think you have now you can have basic idea about negative peace and positive peace. These are very broader concepts which were coined by the Johan Galton. I think now you can have very basic idea about this, right?
Yes.
Any questions from your side? I'm free to answer on the questions.
So amicable relationships are built up.
Yes. Do you want to know the meaning of the term? Oh,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Amicable means the very friendly relationship are built up between conflicted parties. Any other things? Can you fully aware about these two concepts, positive peace and negative peace?
Yes, sir.
Now, can you explain this? Can you explain these two concepts to another one? If
Sorry, sir.
if need, can you give a quick of these two concepts about these two concepts? I mean, if requires, can you teach these two concepts to others?
Yes, sir.
So that's why I'm asking, can you give kufi about these two concepts?
I didn't hear that word, sir, clearly. That's
Okay,
why.
okay. So then, any other things do you want to know?
Sir, in the contemporary situation, the conflict between India and China for the territorial boundaries.
Yes.
So, from what to the what part we can add it, sir? Then for the positive piece or negative piece?
Actually, it is actually negative piece, no?
Yes.
Because they are having good relationships, especially under the present leaders of these particular countries, People's Republic of China and the India. Uh,
So we can.
they are constructing very good and friendly relationships, but for a long time uh, they are what's called uh, antagonistic feeling. I mean, very angry feeling towards each other. So definitely it's negative. It's based on negative peace. It's like fire under the ashes, no?
Yes, sir. It came to my mind, sir.
Yes. So please try to read a lot of things in national politics, international relations. So one day you can have a good position, like I mean, uh, SLS officer or foreign service officer. It means the ambassador, or you can contest for those positions, right? Since because you are very young, now you are in second year. Since this year, if you work harder, read lot, analyze lot, think deeply, then one day you can have a good position in your career path. Right? Now we have few SLS officers, deputy election commissioner, because from our past students. Right? If you work harder and if you like to commit lot, then you can achieve it. Then what else do you want to know? Uh, I can have I mean, this lecture is being recorded. Then after completing our discussion, uh, I will I will put this one into YouTube and put the link into LMS. Then they inform your friends, those who cannot attend today, they can watch what we discussed today. Then after, if you want to have, if you want to have another discussion, another talk, then please inform me. Then we can organize this type of discussion under this topic later on. Right? Anything?
So is this presentation available in LMS?
Uh, it is very difficult to upload this type of big file to the LMS. So that's why we are not uploading big files to LMS. What we are doing, normally I upload these videos to YouTube and put the link to LMS, and as well as I will send the email mentioning these links.
Okay, sir.
So now we are reaching end of our discussion. Now, anything do you need to know? What about do you think today? I mean, oral discussion.
So it's okay for me, sir.
Oh,
I got
that's
it.
okay. Or what did you learn? Can you summarize?
In negative, we were talking about the positive piece and negative piece. So in the negative, there are so many impacts. But the positive piece is we cannot see like
Yeah, it is very difficult to achieve, right? Yeah. Until we have achieved positive piece, we have to focus on negative piece. Otherwise, we couldn't have any type of peace, right? That's what you want to say? That's the thing you want to say? Positive piece is good, but it's very difficult to achieve.
Yes.
Achieving the positive piece, we have to we try to achieve negative piece, no? That's the thing you want to say with me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Okay, see you then next class, right? Okay. Thank you very much for your cooperation. I will put the video into YouTube and you can see it later if you need, and your friends, they can watch, and by watching they can learn. Shall I stop now?
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much.